This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Tuesday. It was like I knew what day it was. I remembered. I was aware of that fact at some point in time today that it was Tuesday. It feels like a Tuesday. Don't you think it feels like a Tuesday? We'll let you guys pick tonight whether we start with crime stories, where like both are like equally as sensational, I guess. Whether we start with crime or politics, and we'll let the chat pick. I might even put a poll up on the Twitch. That's a good idea. Manage poll. I got a poll for you to manage. Start with crime. Can you do polls on YouTube? Or politics? It's the fun. That's the fun of having an interactive show, but I can't. I am blind as a bat now, apparently. I found that out because we're driving down the road trying to find the PetSmart, and I'm like, oh, that's it. I see this. It's kind of a smaller sign. You know, you have the big sign, and there's a bunch of little signs under. It's one of the little signs, and I'm like, oh, it was because it was red and blue like a PetSmart, but it was not a PetSmart. Can't see if I spelled politics right. Hold on, let me type this out in a Word document and copy and paste, so I make sure I spelled it right. I spelled it right that time. All right. Making a poll. I'll be consistent with my capitalization as well. That's something that bugs me. Give it 10 minutes. I'll give it 10 more. Okay, so it'll be 15. I wish I could wait it more. Hold on. Police chase. Okay. Poll is live in Twitch chat. You can vote of whether you want to start with politics or whether you want to start with crime, or you could even, I threw in a police chase. I wish I could weight that one more. Like it would take more to get a police chase. Clinically welcome in. So far, politics winning. Both are equally as sensational, whether we start with crime or we start with politics. I've got a cat on me, but I don't really want to pick him up because, like, I just gave him flea medicine, so he's still a little. Ow. DJ Dub. He clawed me. I had to go to a pet. Like, we're there at the checkout, and like they have treats inside of the checkout. I was like, I don't go in a fucking PetSmart. I don't go in any of these fine establishments, but they've got treats. Like, you can just open the thing, give your dog a treat, I guess. And like, Curious, you're like, oh, here, let me give you a treat. And I'm like, oh. Fair enough, Flash. I could have been used any day since 2016. Not that I've been saying it since 2016. I feel like it's succinct. I have a meme or I mean, if you want to call it a meme, I think it's just kind of a statement of fact. If anybody would like to use it, I made this. If you want to just, if you've got some friends you need to drop this on, Trump is a pedophile, you're dumb and gullible. If you're just getting here, there's a poll in the chat. You can decide whether we're going to start with crime, politics. I even threw in police chase. Sorry, YouTube people, if you will comment, if you have a preference, we will tally your vote in the poll. I will make sure your voices are heard on YouTube as well. Flo, welcome in. T minus. What state are you in, my friend? Flash, good to see you. DJ Dub. No, we do not discriminate here on the Troll Patrol. There's no 3/5 compromise. Let me give you like an actual. I don't feel like that's a meme. A meme has like a comedic premise, and a comedic premise stretches facts, reality. You know, it's a play. You know, you want an exaggeration. That's what I'm looking for. It's an exaggeration. See, like Ghislaine Maxwell, 1961 until next week or so. That's an exaggeration. It's where you put the exaggeration. That's what makes a joke funny. Or something like this. This one also kind of borderline. I will get to the bottom of the Epstein situation, as well as I will find the real killers. It's just two men, and I don't know that that's an actual quote from Donald Trump, but I feel like he said something to the gist of that. I would have to check if that's an actual quote, but it's just, once again, kind of a statement of fact. OJ really did say he would find the real killers. I don't know if he said it in that like, is that an exact quote? I don't know, but it's the gist of it. You see, that's the comedic premise. You gotta stretch the stretch. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I might be too high for this shit. Curious who just left. We took like a gazillion bong rips, and like it was serious. One of them really fucked me up. I was like, I coughed up a lung, and then I look over at her. I'm like, I got something in my throat. She's like, you'll be okay. She cracks me up. Hell yeah, clinically. Be flying high. I don't think this is fake. I think this is real. I think this is one of the like bus stops in Scotland. There's a palm tree though. That can't be Scotland. But it's like a European. That can't be a palm tree then. That's some tree I don't even know what the fuck it is. Definitely not a palm tree. It wouldn't be that short. What am I looking at? Somebody tell me. I was thinking it was European because of the bus. But they wouldn't have palms in Scotland though, would they? So far, politics is winning, which is how I have it set up. That's how I have the show laid out anyway, so perfect. Winter things have grown in the city. Fair enough. I feel that. I guess we're starting like... Curious or had not heard what Donald Trump had said, so I had to lay it on her. And she just like maniacal laughter, like this is real life now. Yep. Got the full audio for you. I don't see the vote. I don't see the vote getting overhauled, I don't think. I feel like we're starting with politics. I guess I'll pack this bowl, give it another couple of minutes. You never know, there could be a rush of people come in. I gave it like another 3 minutes, I think. But we can always change course if need be. I said I was too high. Maybe I'm not high enough for this shit. No, you count, DJ Dub. You count. I love that this is official White House audio. That's fantastic. This source is literally the White House. Beautiful.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do? In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen,
Now, I want you to know that the right-wing story has always been, and this came from a book from Epstein's lawyer. Epstein's lawyer said that Epstein was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago in like 2010. For politics did officially win. He said that he was kicked out Epstein's lawyer said that Epstein was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago in 2010 because Trump noticed him being inappropriate with a girl. Now Trump completely contradicting that story.
persons that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Wow, that's not true. I don't think she ever accused Trump of any impropriety, but I believe she places Trump on the island, if I remember correctly. Trump says Epstein stole underage victim Virginia Giuffre from his Mar-a-Lago spa. President tells reporters that he cut off contact with Epstein because he was poaching employees from his club before amplifying that they were young women. Giuffre met Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Mar-a-Lago in 2000. She told the BBC and she offered her an interview to train as a massage therapist. Giuffre was ultimately recruited and groomed by Maxwell and raped by Epstein on numerous occasions after being ostensibly hired as a masseuse by the pedophile. The president's new claim about the reasons that he ended a years-long friendship with Epstein contradicts previous statements made by him over the years concerning why he cut off contact with the notorious sex offender who was arrested in March of 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges and died by suicide in a Manhattan jail while awaiting trial. He previously said he cut off contact with Epstein because he was a creep, citing a 2009 conviction for soliciting underage prostitutes. Trump and people close to him have routinely cited the end of his friendship with Epstein when attempting to distance the president from the disgraced sex trafficker. The last few weeks of Trump's presidency have been consumed by scandal over his administration's handling of long-standing calls for his supporters to release files associated with the case of Epstein and Maxwell, who is currently serving a 2-decade sentence in Florida for sex trafficking charges. Let's hear from Maxwell's attorney. Apparently, she's wanting immunity to come before Congress, which has been denied, I believe.
The Jeffrey Epstein files. His convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, now says she's open to testifying before Congress, but with major conditions. Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy is live at the White House with more. Ben?
Nicole, bottom line, Maxwell says that yes, she will testify, but this time on her terms. Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell offered to testify before Congress, but ahead of sitting down with lawmakers has a list of demands. In a 3-page letter to the House Oversight Committee, she first wants immunity. Her attorney writing Ms. Maxwell cannot risk further criminal exposure in a politically charged environment without formal immunity, adding if Ms. Maxwell were to receive clemency, she would be willing and eager to testify openly and honestly in public before Congress in D.C. Maxwell also requires the questions in advance and for the interview not to happen at the correctional facility where she's serving 20 years, convicted on child trafficking for carrying out a years-long operation with Epstein to groom and sexually abuse underage girls. It comes one day after Maxwell asked the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn her conviction, which leads to her next demand for representatives to wait until the High Court rules on her case. But it's likely justices won't act on her petition until October, when they return from summer break.
Maxwell's credibility is zero. She is a convicted sex abuse trafficker of children seeking favors from Trump.
President Trump is now on his way back to the White House, capping a 5-day trip to the UK. It's in Scotland. He addressed questions this week about the possibility of a pardon for Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news.
You've been asked about it a gazillion times.
In Maxwell's team saying they're
We played video of you getting asked about it before we left for that trip.
From the House committee. Nicole?
So, Ben, what happens if members of Congress do not agree to the demands that she's making?
Well, Nicole, then this Q&A would be a no-go. In fact, Maxwell's attorney says if the demands are not met, she would then invoke the Fifth Amendment and decline to testify.
Our Ben Kennedy live for us at the White House. Ben, thank you.
CBS making a really big deal, saying that they have found all the inconsistencies in the Jeffrey Epstein jail footage, contradicting
Federal Bureau of Investigation
government's claims.
Video used in the investigation of the death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, described that video on Fox & Friends just weeks before its release.
There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this, we are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
He showed this video to multiple video forensics experts who agreed what the FBI and others have said is simply not true. That video and other evidence led to the conclusion by the government that Epstein's death on August 10, 2019 was suicide. An analysis in consultation with video forensic experts suggests multiple inconsistencies between statements from government officials, including Bongino, a report from the Department of Justice's Office of the Inspector General into Epstein's death released in 2023, and the tape itself. These inconsistencies, while not contradicting the conclusion Epstein died by suicide, do introduce questions that the government so far has declined to answer. We'll show you those in a moment. First, let's break this all down. Epstein was held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan, in a unit separate from the general population known as the Special Housing Unit, or SHU. The unit has 3 wings, each with 2 levels. Epstein was held in the upstairs L tier of his wing. That tier is accessed by a set of stairs from the central common area. Directly adjacent to those stairs is the officers' station, where on-duty corrections officers spend most of their time. The inspector report says several cameras in the unit were streaming a live feed to a remote location in the prison, but no one was watching them. Malfunctioning equipment meant only one camera recorded the general area. That camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. The footage begins at 7:40 p.m. the night before Epstein's death. You can see staff and inmates moving about, preparing for the nightly lockdown.
Welcome in.
That's the officer's station in the background. Only 2 employees have been publicly identified. Tova Noel, a corrections officer pulling a double shift that began at 4 p.m., and Michael Thomas, a materials handler who won't arrive until midnight. Epstein is seen for the first and only time on camera at 7:49 p.m. when the Department of Justice said he was escorted to his cell from another wing of the unit. It's important to note here, you don't actually see Epstein ascend the stairwell to his cell block. Remember what Dan Bongino said.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
But there were 2 people with him.
Play that again in slow motion.
2 guards.
Sliver of stairs. Epstein is here with his escort, and they walk off screen. When the FBI released the video, they said anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the common area would have been captured by this footage. But with the primary entrance here, the pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera. For the next hour or so, corrections officers and inmates are seen moving about, preparing for all prisoners to be locked down. At 8:21, another inmate is seen being escorted toward the stairs leading to Epstein's cell area. No movement is detected on the stairs again. By 8:24, all of the inmates appear to have been taken to their cells. Noel told the Inspector General she visited Epstein's cell at about 10 p.m. You can see her head in that direction here, albeit closer to 10:30, but not climb the stairs. The rules require rounds to be made every 30 minutes, but according to the report, this was the only time anyone checked on the inmates that night. There was even a sign printed on orange paper posted on the guard station saying mandatory rounds must be conducted every 30 minutes on Epstein, as per God. This was because of concerns about his risk for suicide.
As per God.
The report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance the video does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period. Beyond this, there are other issues our investigation and others have uncovered. At 11:21 p.m. and 34 seconds, a cursor appears briefly on screen, indicating the video may have been recorded with a camera or a screen recording and was not an export of the RAW file. The FBI said it had seized the prison's hard drive 5 days after his death and had released the full RAW footage this month. 2 experts told CBS News the video's metadata, which tracks how a file is created and changed, shows it's made from 2 clips stitched together in editing software. Those experts also say the video was edited and saved multiple times. Next up, the now famous missing minute. At 11:57 and 35 seconds, an individual appears on screen from the direction of the main door. It's likely this is Michael Thomas arriving for his midnight shift and replacing the other staff member on duty who'd been working from 4 to midnight. Noel was starting a second shift of 8 hours. From that point on, only Noel and Thomas were on duty during the critical window when Epstein is believed to have died. At 11:58 and 58 seconds, the video jumps to midnight, and the aspect ratio of the video changes slightly. Another indication it may have been edited. Zooming in and playing back in slow motion, you can see a slight shift in the shape of the figures standing or sitting around the officer's desk, but otherwise, nothing changes. Attorney General Pam Bondi attributed the missing minute to a nightly reset of the security camera system.
There was a minute that was off the counter, and what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was
there's never a minute when they reset like that.
They redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset.
When those cameras do that, you only like miss a few frames,
so
not even a second.
To release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
That additional video has not been released, and a government source has alleged to CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of the full, unedited footage. Why the FBI did not release that is unclear, and the agency offered no comment. Importantly, the Inspector General gives no indication there was a minute missing when their team reviewed the video. We can surmise the male staffer working the 4 to 12 shift would have left during the missing minute based on the report, leaving just Noel and Thomas. But that is not seen on camera. Serious problems with the government's investigation and witness statements don't end there. The report says the unit was secured by 2 doors, one requiring a key held only by Noel and Thomas. Noel told investigators no one could enter without her physically opening that door. But here's where it gets tricky. Let's look at this one example. 4 a.m. Noel remains in full view of the camera, yet seconds later, someone walks in, and it appears neither Noel nor Thomas let her in. The report is silent on this apparent contradiction. And even if there was no other key, both Noel and Thomas had ample opportunities to let someone in. At least a half dozen times, one or the other of them exits the camera frame in the direction of the door, all without explanation. We shared this with our forensic experts who agreed there was no way to conclusively determine from the video whether an unseen visitor was or was not let into the Epstein unit, although both Noel and Thomas have said no one else entered. At 6:22, either Thomas or Noel walk off screen again and reappear carrying food trays, breakfast for the prisoners. At this point, based on the autopsy results, Epstein is believed to already be dead. According to Thomas's account, he arrived at Epstein's cell to deliver his breakfast and found him in a seated position, his buttocks an inch from the ground, held up by a torn sheet tied to the bunk bed in his room. At 6:30, someone rushes in from off camera, according to the report. This was Noel returning to the desk to call for help after Thomas discovered Epstein. Epstein's body was quickly removed from the cell. Only Noel and Thomas witnessed him hanging. At 6:40 a.m., the video ends. Epstein's body is not seen being removed. Both Thomas and Noel have said they played no role in Epstein's death. They were charged with falsifying documents, but those charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. Additional clarification could come from a second camera mentioned in the report. It recorded an elevator bank in the same unit, although the report stated that it did not cover areas that would have included access to Epstein's cell. It would at least show a missing minute. We reached out to the Department of Justice to see about obtaining that footage. They referred us to the FBI, who referred us back to the Department of Justice. Neither Thomas nor Noel responded to our inquiries through their legal representatives. For a case that demanded transparency, it's yet another muddled chapter, raising more questions than it answers.
It's exactly what it was, the Spider-Man meme. God, that was great breakdown from CBS. Shit. This ain't going away. Dick Durbin linking the Beauvais nomination, which might be being voted on right now, to the Epstein files.
Of Emil Beauvais to a New Jersey seat
by
the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. An unusual thing occurred with this. He came and answered a questionnaire, as he should, for the White House as well as for the Judiciary Committee, and then appeared before us under oath and answered questions. But what was unusual about this situation is that many questions that he tried to answer, he didn't get close to coming to the truth. So egregious were his statements that individuals who worked with him were willing to risk their career in public service to come forward as whistleblowers to members of the committee and Congress to tell them that Mr. Bovee had misrepresented the facts before us. They risked their public careers to come and tell us this information. And as a result of it, some of them are going to have to leave the Department of Justice. But it seems that when given a test of values and ethics, time and again, Mr. Bovee fails, and those around him step forward and risk their own careers to tell the truth. So we said, as Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee, to the chairman, we believe these whistleblowers are credible. They're telling us things about Mr. Bovee that contradict his testimony before the committee, and we believe that they should be heard. They are willing to come before the committee and take an oath to tell the truth and run the risk of a retribution or penalty if they are found to have misled the committee and misrepresented the facts. You can't ask for more than that. Someone willing to risk their job to tell the truth and then to appear before our committee under oath and testify as to what happened. I think that's credible, and I don't think it's avoidable. We're talking about Bovee being pointed to a federal circuit bench that is a lifetime appointment. This is a critical decision, and we need to have the facts before the American people. So what was the response of the Republican on the committee, the chairman? They turned us down. They don't want to hear any whistleblowers. They don't want to hear people who are willing to stand before us under oath and tell us what actually happened with Mr. Bovee and his misrepresentations to the committee. As members of the conservative legal establishment have noted, Mr. Bovee...
I knew I probably should have done it the other way. I should have went ahead and did the AP article about the whistleblowers so that we did actually find out what he testified about. The Senate is set to vote as soon as Tuesday evening to confirm former Trump lawyer Emil Bovee for a lifetime appointment as a federal appeals court judge, despite vocal Democratic opposition and a new whistleblower. I think this might be, this story here, I think this might be since Dick Durbin, that Dick Durbin gave that speech we were just watching on the Senate floor. I think we have a new whistleblower. The whistleblower provided Congress with an audio recording of Bovee that runs contrary to some of his testimony at his confirmation hearing last month, according to two people familiar with the recording. The audio is from a private video conference call at the Department of Justice in February, in which Bovee, a top official at the department, discussed his handling of the dismissed corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, according to the transcribed quotes from the audio reviewed by the Associated Press. The people spoke on the condition of anonymity because the whistleblower has not made the recording public. The whistleblower's claims were first reported by the Washington Post. The new evidence comes as Democrats try to delay Bovee's confirmation and convince more Republicans to vote against him. A different whistleblower, a fire department lawyer, said earlier this month that Bovee had suggested the Trump administration may need to ignore judicial commands, a claim that Bovee denies. None of that evidence has so far been enough to sway Senate Republicans. All but two of them voted last week to move forward on his nomination. As that's the clip I played you where they walked out. It was the Bovee nomination. All but two of them voted last week to move forward on his nomination. The Senate Republicans defer to Trump on virtually all of his picks. A former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, Bovee was on Trump's legal team during his New York hush money trial and defended Trump in the two federal criminal cases brought by the Justice Department. If confirmed by the Senate, he'll serve on the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which hears cases from Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Bovee was at the forefront of the department's decision to dismiss the case against Adams and also efforts to investigate department officials who were involved in the prosecutions of hundreds of Trump supporters who were involved in the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. Bovee has accused FBI officials of insubordination, for refusing to hand over the names of agents who investigated the attack and ordered the firing of a group of prosecutors involved in those January 6 criminal cases. At his confirmation hearing earlier this month, Beauvais addressed criticism of his tenure head-on, telling lawmakers he understands some of his decisions have generated controversy, but Beauvais said he has been inaccurately portrayed as Trump's henchman and enforcer at the department. Senators at the Judiciary Committee hearing asked Beauvais about the February 14th call with lawyers in the Justice Department Public Integrity Section, which had received significant public attention because of his unusual directive that the attorneys had an hour to decide amongst themselves who would agree to file on the department's behalf the motion to dismiss the case against Adams. The call was convened amid significant upheaval in the department as prosecutors in New York who'd handled the matter, as well as some in Washington, resigned rather than agree to dispense with the case. According to the transcript of the February call, Beauvais remarked near the outset that interim Manhattan U.S. Attorney Danielle Sassoon resigned about 10 minutes before we were going to put her on leave pending an investigation. But when asked at the hearing whether he had opened the meeting by emphasizing that Sassoon and another prosecutor had refused to follow orders and that Sassoon was going to be reassigned before she resigned, Beauvais answered with a simple no. At another moment, Beauvais said he did not recall saying words that the transcript of the call reflects him as having said. That whoever signed the motion to dismiss the Adams case would emerge as leaders of the section. The Republicans are decrying unfair accusations. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley said Tuesday that he believes Beauvais will be a diligent, capable, and fair jurist. He said that staff had tried to investigate the claims for days, but that lawyers for the whistleblowers would not give them all of the materials they had asked for. The vicious rhetoric, unfair accusations, and abuse directed at Mr. Beauvais have crossed the line, Chuck Grassley said. So back to Dick Durbin responding to Beauvais' vote, which is set to take place any moment now.
Beauvais' nomination represents an alarming departure from the type of nominees we considered under the first Trump administration. Like under other individuals President Trump has installed in the highest positions of our government during his second term, Mr. Beauvais' primary qualification appears to be his blind loyalty to this president. As acting Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Beauvais personally ordered the terminations of dozens of career federal prosecutors who worked to put violent January 6 offenders behind bars. Remember what happened January 6th? Vice President Pence was sitting in the president's chair. We were counting the ballots for the Electoral College.
Vice President Pence.
The presidential election, and we had to.
You mean Vice President Couch, sir?
Capitol Police came in, took the vice president off the podium, and then notified us that there was a demonstration taking place in the Capitol building that was dangerous. I remember the first thing they said to us: "Stay in your seats. This is going to be a safe room. You can stay here." 10 minutes later, the same policeman came up and said, "We're wrong. It isn't safe. Leave as quickly as possible." And we filed out that exit door. All the members of the Senate, the vice president was gone. These demonstrators swarmed through the Capitol, attacked the Capitol Police, who were there trying to defend the building and the people in it, causing 140 of them to be injured, and 5 of them lost their lives as a result of this. And then they went on and started doing their job of ransacking this chamber and the offices of the senators in this building. They did great damage to this building, millions of dollars. And even worse, in my estimation, they desecrated what I consider to be a cathedral to democracy, the United States Capitol building. Many of them, of course, when they were aping for the cameras, were creating videotaped evidence that was used against them. The Department of Justice went into an investigation of these demonstrators who had ransacked the Capitol and threatened the lives of people who were here. And as a result of it, more than 1,500 were prosecuted for that wrongdoing. It took a long period of time, a lot of investigation. U.S. attorneys were asked all over the United States to participate in this. what happened. The 1,500, many of them ended up with criminal sentences, some very serious sentences, and some were incarcerated. Then came Donald Trump and gave a full unconditional pardon to the January 6 rioters who came into this building. Full and unconditional. Then to make it even worse, his new administration in the Department of Justice came in and said, if you were an assistant U.S. attorney following orders to prosecute these individuals and these rioters, you can be fired for doing it. We want you to disclose whether you participated in the investigation and prosecution of these individuals. Who was behind all this? Well, quite a few members of the Trump administration. But as acting Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bove, the man who's seeking this judgeship, personally ordered the termination.
Emil, I've been saying it wrong all the way around.
Career federal prosecutors who worked to put violent January.
Mary Jane, War Machine, Textillion, Progressive Squirrel, Samson,
claim that the
Quesadilla. Welcome in, friends.
Were, quote, a grave national injustice that has been perpetrated upon the American people. Imagine that. He doubled down on the sentiment during his confirmation process and further insulted the law enforcement officers who kept us safe.
Well, Lord, I don't know if I told you good evening.
In response to a question before our committee, Mr. Bove wrote, and I quote, heavy-handed tactics by January 6 prosecutors were, quote, equally unacceptable as rioters' attacks on the police. Think about that for a moment. He's saying the assistant U.S. attorneys, the prosecutors who went after the individuals who stormed through the Capitol were just as bad as the rioters themselves. I pointed this out to my Republican colleagues, that a man seeking a lifetime appointment to the federal bench believes that those who prosecute cop beaters are as bad as the cop beaters themselves. Expecting my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to react as I have this morning, what did I get? Crickets, silence, no response. He said the prosecutors were as bad as the rioters themselves. And Mr. Bove has been up to a far more as senior Justice Department official than just excusing the conduct of January 6 offenders. He personally led the administration's attempt to strike a corrupt bargain with New York City Mayor Eric Adams by offering to drop his pending prosecution in exchange for Mayor Adams' cooperation on President Trump's immigration policies. Get that straight. Investigations of corruption on the mayor of New York City, the response from the Trump administration from Mr. Emil Bove was, we'll cut a deal with you. We won't prosecute you if you promise to play ball with us when it comes to mass deportations. In response to Mr. Bove's alleged quid pro quo, several federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, including the U.S. Attorney herself, a staunch conservative who clerked for Justice Scalia and was appointed to the position by President Trump, made it clear that they would not participate in Emil Bove's deal with the mayor of New York. Mr. Bove's disdain for the rule of law has been a theme throughout his entire career. As a federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, he once admitted that prosecutors he supervised told the defense team, quote, flat lie regarding their disclosure obligations. Flat out lie. Given that background, it appears that Mr. Bove's time in the Trump administration has been true to form. Last month, Erez Ravini, a career DOJ attorney who defended the first Trump administration's administrative policies in court, filed a whistleblower complaint with my office. According to Mr. Ravini, Mr. Bove told other department attorneys that they might need to say, quote, F you, close quote, to federal courts that issued orders which the Trump administration had disagreed with. Remarkably, when he was under oath before the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Bove would not deny that he had delivered such a message. He merely said he did not recall whether he had used the epithet that I characterized, the explicit language. So I asked Mr. Ravini, the whistleblower, to substantiate his claims, and he did. Mr. Ravini provided text messages, emails, and a trove of other documents corroborating his claim that Mr. Bovee had both suggested the
The
possibility
Durbin's got receipts, he says.
and had spearheaded efforts to mislead judges.
That was not something in the AP story we read.
Testify under oath about what I've just said. I asked the Judiciary Committee in a formal letter to take his testimony, but apparently my Republican colleagues have no interest in even learning the truth about Mr. Bovee.
Yeah, they're trying to shut it down. The vote is happening right now.
Public reporting, another whistleblower filed a complaint with Justice Department's Inspector General that further backs up his allegations. My office is working to obtain a copy of that complaint.
Sports cards, welcome in.
Inspector General. The contents of
this was earlier today.
Unanswered questions regarding Bovee's conduct. It appears my Republican colleagues fear the answers. That is the only reason I can see for their insistence on forcing this nomination through at breakneck speed before.
We started with the Epstein stuff.
In addition to the outstanding
we moved to this
complaint,
Bovee nomination.
No idea how involved Mr. Bovee has been in the Trump administration's Jeffrey Epstein cover-up. As I've noted previously, it was very convenient for Senate Republicans that Attorney General Bondi did not announce her plan to keep the Epstein files hidden until shortly after Mr. Bovee's obligation to answer questions before the committee. Interesting timing. Mr. Bovee has served as the most senior level of the Justice Department in these early months of the administration. It's highly unlikely that he does not have knowledge of the Epstein cover-up.
Damn right.
So my colleagues and I sent him a follow-up question to assess his involvement. No surprise, he refused to answer. Some conservative voices have been willing to speak truth to power regarding Mr. Bovee's nomination. The editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, no liberal newspaper, pointed out that Mr. Bovee's record, quote, creates an impression of a lawyer comfortably pursuing policy outcomes by pushing legal boundaries. And conservative legal commentator Ed Whalen wrote that he has, quote, serious doubts that Bovee has the character and integrity to be worth confirmation as a federal judge. You don't have to take it from them or me.
He's got no integrity.
Has made it clear that Mr. Bovee was selected for his position not because of his legal accomplishments or his dedication to the conservative method of constitutional interpretation. As the president put it, Mr. Bovee will, quote, do anything that is necessary to make America great again, end of quote. I strongly urge my colleagues to consider the implications of giving this man, Amo Bovee, a lifetime seat on the federal bench. Join me in opposing his nomination. I yield the floor.
I quit cold turkey, but I know that's not for everybody, and I totally encourage anyone that has to use a... They have a name. Is smoking cessation aid? Is that it? Because I did a lot of oh, I can't load C-SPAN. Or yeah, there we go. There.
450 of them.
So you can see up in the top right-hand corner that is live.
Whether Mr. Bovee has violated a court order, it's by hearing.
You see the roll call vote.
Of Mr.
So far, 49 yay, 43 nay.
To do so before voting on
rhinoceros
this will forever brand this decision
rhinos
as rubber stamping. Mr. Chairman, I make a request, and as I
welcome in, my friend.
I have the right to do that. Mr. Revenue, witness the DOJ leadership plan to defy court orders. I would like to say, ask under Rule 4 of this Rules of the Committee, that the chairman is required to entertain a non-debatable motion to bring a matter before the committee.
I feel like I had a friend who was on Chantix and it made her have like psychotic dreams.
A roll call.
Princess Kimberly, good evening.
The record may show that where each member stands on allowing a whistleblower, an independent prosecutor who worked in Democrat and Republican administrations for 15
That is a side effect, yes.
Step forward, who put his life at risk, who is being threatened right now, who felt like it was worth to come forward to speak to this committee. I'd like to request that before voting on this nominee, we would hear from this nominee. I'd like a roll call vote on that according to Rule 4 of this committee.
The clerk will call the roll. Well, before you
This is the
first of all, I do believe that
I believe this is the part where they walk out.
that you've requested,
Krill.
and we won't
Oh, I know. I'm well aware.
do it ahead of time or on the agenda, so I'm going to rule you out of order.
But sir, we can, in all sincerity, we could take the time. We could set the whistleblower coming next week. It would give us more time and then enough time to review all of the things that you're concerned about.
I quit cold turkey.
The charges of an
But like I'd been trying to quit for years and had
literally
gotten myself down to, like smoking in social settings and shit
to prepare for such a
for
hearing.
like months before I ever actually like quit.
Before I call on Senator Whitehouse, let me say that you requested put things in the record. We will grant that request. Senator Whitehouse.
Thanks, Chairman. Let me, as to Emile Bovee, let me start with this nominee.
So once again, the vote is live. They're going to take it full here in a second.
That if the federal courts didn't back off on restricting unlawful deportations, they would have to tell courts, F you. I hope we can agree that telling courts F you is not an attribute we want in someone seeking to be a judge. We know that he said it because it is so abundantly corroborated in real-time communications among the lawyers present. They talk in texts about the FU comment.
Sheldon Whitehouse.
Contemporaneously, in that very...
Got Amy Klobuchar next to him.
Prosecutors don't get...
Amy Klobuchar getting ready to throw some bombs.
We'd also be on solid ground.
In our next
including
clip.
that he lied about it to us.
Once again, this is live. They got about a minute 46.
He said he didn't recall. Really?
In the roll call vote.
Didn't recall saying something like that?
The nomination of Emile Bovee.
Meeting, surrounded by
a lifetime appointment to be United States Circuit Judge.
It's not remotely credible. Lying to our committee also is not a great attribute of a candidate.
We have multiple whistleblowers that have come forward.
Somehow.
And say that he contradicted his own testimony
that he would get away
in front of the Senate during his confirmation hearing.
He also played a bit of verbal dodgem, saying he never instructed anyone to disobey a court.
But it looks like he is going to be confirmed.
But that was not the allegation. He told them to be ready to disobey court orders, to tell courts, F you. Obviously, if you change the statement,
Kaya, welcome in.
You can mislead the committee, but we should demand better than that. Meanwhile, over in the United States District Court of Appeals, there is an order suspending Judge Boasberg's investigation into this matter. He announced a contempt investigation to look into what the hell went on
50 yeas, not
with respect to these illegal.
Everyone has voted, it seems.
Emile Bovee is in the thick of that.
47 Democrats is all of them. That is all the Democrats voted against this nomination.
Be part of that contempt investigation. And 2 Trump judges.
So it seems that the full Senate has confirmed.
Suspended that investigation.
Emile Bovee.
There's a lot of commentary now about how on earth that...
I tried to say it was some class. I was like, Emile Bovee. But no, apparently that's not how it's said. It is pronounced Emile Bovee.
For this committee to ram through this nominee, likely to be a subject of that criminal contempt hearing, while it's delayed. If we are being played that way, with Trump judges delaying a contempt hearing that necessarily involves our nominee so that he can be shoved through, something is really rotten in Denmark. This whole mess around
how did Denmark get pulled into this?
Is all consistent.
They didn't do anything.
Character. He helped cook up an improper deal in a criminal case against the mayor of New York, which his own DOJ colleague called a quid pro quo, and an improper offer of immigration enforcement assistance.
I assume the vote is passed.
That is disgraceful prosecutorial behavior.
With 3 not voting.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York then resigned.
I don't know if he needs 51.
Rotten scheme.
Does it have to be a majority?
And another Trump administration crony also admitted it. Border czar Tom Homan appeared on Fox News with that mayor and said,
did they have to bring in,
speaking of the mayor, if he doesn't come through,
old couchy boy,
the immigration support we need, I'll be back in New York City and we won't be sitting on the couch. I'll be in his office up.
Hey, White House even mentioned it.
Where the hell is the agreement we came to? The agreement.
They've got 50 votes.
Separately, this nominee tried.
So I'd assume his nomination is confirmed. The new Third Circuit Court judge for life. Earlier today, Amy Klobuchar got into it with a fellow Democrat. It was blue on blue violence.
I want to thank the Senator from Nevada for her work in trying to bring these bills to a vote on the floor. I want to thank Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I want to thank Senator Durbin, who is there, the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, someone who has, by the way, been a leading voice on immigration for years in this chamber. And one of the things I don't understand here is that we have committees for a reason, and we have hearings for a reason. And you can't do one thing on Police Week and not show up and not object and let these bills go through.
Was it Police Week?
A few weeks later in a big speech on the floor. So I like to show up at the markups, and I like to make my case.
She sounds like she's almost in tears.
Senator Booker objected to my police reauthorization bill, the cops funding, the Clinton cops funding, long before Donald Trump came into office. So this is not just about this. This is a long dispute over this type of funding. Funding that I think is really important right now. Our country's law enforcement professionals do some of the hardest and most important work out there. Every day across America,
I hate her so much.
On the line to keep us safe. We
ACAB
towards danger and to guide others to safety. And every day across America, they put on their uniforms, their bulletproof vests, their badges, and they get to work. We need to have their backs, and that's what this package of bills does. By the way, bills supported out of the committee from some of the most liberal senators and some of the most conservative senators in this body. We came together. There were bills we would have liked to include that we did not. And if the objection is based on some of this horror show that's going on out of the White House, I agree with that piece of Senator Booker's points. And I have been equally vociferous in taking on this administration. But all of these bills came out of the committee unanimously, and I think they deserve that support on the floor. These bills help fund grants for mental health services for law enforcement. And by the way, if this issue, which I agree with Senator Booker on, about that all these states should be treated the same, well, then I suppose then he will be voting against all of this funding for New Jersey unless this is changed. So we should be watching for that for every single vote instead of just these bills that are in front of us that were supported unanimously out of committee. Grants that help law enforcement combat child sexual exploitation. Grants to help address the recruitment and retention crisis that is plaguing local law enforcement. Senator Cortez Masto's bill, as she explained, would help support the families of fallen law enforcement officers who were targeted and attacked because of their service as law enforcement. My bill, which has been now objected to, so I'm not going to mention it separately or ask for it to be called up separately. My bill, the Retired Law Enforcement Officers Continuing Service Act, done with Senator Grassley, would make sure that law enforcement agencies can continue to utilize the skills that talented law enforcement retirees have built up over their career of public service. There are many retired law enforcement officers who want an active retirement and are eager and ready to serve their community. This might sound like small ball, but when we are looking at how we're going to build up these police agencies, when we don't have enough police, when they're out there at these scenes getting shot at, we've got to be creative in terms of the ideas. And I believe strongly we're going to see another president in the future. We're going to see out of these next elections a check on some of this. But for now, I want to get these programs started.
I haven't been talking. I've been eating cheese.
Agencies
Sorry.
across the country to keep using their expertise to review video footage, to solve carjacking cases, or help cyber and financial crime investigations. This bill will also help train the next generation of law enforcement officers.
When I went and refilled my tea, I stuffed my entire mouth full of cheese. I sat down, just all kinds of cheese in my mouth.
And the other police bills passed during police week, while those police officers are sitting there in the hearing room, when no one objected, they are bipartisan, common sense legislation. They passed the Judiciary Committee unanimously. And I can't help it if someone couldn't change their schedule to be there.
I am not high enough for the ship.
I think that these hearings should mean something, and that people should be saying the same thing they say on Police Week when those people are sitting out there in the uniform.
Or maybe I'm too high because I'm stuffing my mouth full of cheese.
If we expect law enforcement to respond to some of the most difficult crises at a moment's notice, it's on us to set them up for success.
Isn't it crises?
I was there at the National Mall where it rained the entire night, and not a family wasn't there when they thought it was going to be a nicer day. And that was this year on the National Mall to honor those fallen heroes.
She really is getting emotional.
Law enforcement officers memorial candlelight vigil. Every single officer whose name was read that night was a beloved family member and a friend to so many, including 3 from my state. There was Officer Jamal Mitchell, who was shot and killed in the line of duty just last June, and Officers Paul Elmstead and Matthew Ruge, who along with firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth were killed responding to a domestic violence call in Burnsville, Minnesota. They were called to duty. They answered the call. They actually got 7 kids out of this house and saved their lives. And then one was gunned down. The paramedic came in to try to save him. He was gunned down. And I will never forget hearing from Burnsville Police Sergeant Adam Medlicott, who was there with the 3 fallen first responders when they answered the call. He said of his fallen comrades, "We were there for 7 children. Nothing could be more honorable." He is absolutely right. You can't teach that kind of heroism. Our brave law enforcement professionals deserve to know that the resources they rely on will be there when they need them. And I hope we can work some of this out. I completely agree with Senator Booker about what this administration is doing. But you can't just pick out a few bills that came out of a committee and say, I'm going to stop those, and then allow for other bills that fund other parts of your budget in your state. Thank you.
They're from New Jersey.
I was just called out by name, and I want to respond.
Oh, he mad.
This is what frustrates me. I've passed numerous pieces of legislation for our police officers. I partnered with Chuck Grassley, the incredible senator from Iowa.
That's why we hate you.
Similar to the one I support about police officers who fall in the line of duty. In this case, it was COVID. Police officers who got COVID and died had difficulty proving it was a line of duty death. We passed the legislation to make sure those families get the benefits. I've worked in bipartisan ways and within my own party to make sure we get resources to our police officers. I don't need lectures about the urgency of this. One of my childhood best friends, a police officer in a small town in New Jersey, after a hard day's work, before he even went home to see his family, died by suicide. I don't need somebody implying
been a hard day's night.
Not vital.
I need to get high.
State that we have resources for our police officers. That's why I support this package. That's why I'm a co-sponsor of some of the bills in this package. But what I am tired of is when the President of the United States of America violates the Constitution, trashes our norms and traditions. And what is the Democratic Party?
I'm gonna have a nice cheesy baked potato after stream.
Allow him? Beg for scraps? No, I demand justice.
He demands satisfaction.
Implying that this to me is not about resources for my state. I will fight for Jersey every day, every night. And when it comes to the police officers of my state, anybody who implies
this is fascinating,
that something is going on other than my allegiance and fealty to the safety, strength, and protection of my police officers because they protect me and everybody in this body. This is a call, folks. The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president.
Have you no shame?
Principles that those free speech rights that you could take on any client, why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Late night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes. That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution.
Oh, I hate him so much.
And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me. Because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that we're agreed with? When are we going to stand together? If we don't stand as Democrats, we deserve to lose. But if we stand united, if we stand strong, if we stand with other people, if we tell with a chorus of conviction in America what this president is doing is wrong, if we stand up and speak that way, dear God, we will win. Like all of those people that are ancestors who joined hands together and said, we shall overcome. No, not on my watch. I'm protecting Jersey today. I'm protecting our Constitution today.
No one should stand for Jersey.
I'm standing today.
Mr. President.
The senator from Nevada.
I don't even know what that was over. I have no idea why he was all pissed like that. People are starting to announce their runs for the Senate, for governor, different races. We'll do a rundown here shortly, but I would like to cover one specific guy. This is former Representative Mike Collins running for Senate in Georgia.
Now, this place is broken. Out of touch Democrats like our two U.S. senators will fight harder for MS-13 gang members than they will nursing students at UGA. No, we've got to be absolutely unrelenting. We've got to be unafraid to fight. We've got to be unafraid to call balls and strikes, a spade to spade. And I think y'all have seen, I don't mind doing that.
Mike Collins, great job you're doing.
Okay, we're going to put the hammer down and we're going to get it done.
Anybody knows anything? His campaign launch video misspells the state that he's running for office in. Georgia. He launches his fucking campaign. Collins made it official on Monday that he's running for the Georgia Senate seat up for grabs in 2026. The video posted on Sunday calls out the two current senators for Georgia and calls on Georgians to ride, but instead of saying Georgia, let's ride, it says Georgia, let's ride. The Collins campaign said the video was made by fans and posted on a Team Run account. The spokesperson said it was not an ad or part of the official campaign account. Are you serious? Does this look like a fan-made ad?
Y'all, this place is broken. Out of touch Democrats like our two U.S. senators will fight harder for MS-13 gang members than they will nursing students at UGA. No, we've got to be absolutely unrelenting.
This is professionally done.
We've got to be unafraid to call balls and strikes, a spade to spade. And I think y'all have seen, I don't mind doing that.
Mike.
Ooh, Flash.
Okay, we're going to put the hammer down and we're going to get it done.
Yeah, you'd have to be really smart to do that, but that is a good idea to misspell, because that's a thing that people do on social media posts. They misspell stuff on purpose in order to get people to correct it in the comments, and then it ups the virality. I mean, if you just hired a PR firm in Georgia, AI is a possibility. I feel like AI would get Georgia right, though. Because it has to be all over the internet. Let's check in on the... Let's check in on the congressman from the next state up from Georgia. Man got kicked by a daggum horse. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett apparently broke some ribs after getting hit by a horse. Suffers broken ribs after being kicked by a horse. Burchett, 60, is the latest in a series of lawmakers who have been hospitalized or suffered injuries in recent weeks. Earlier this month, Minnesota Democratic Senator Tina Smith was hospitalized after feeling unwell and being evaluated by a Capitol physician. She was released from the hospital the next day and has since returned to work. In addition to a broken rib, Burchett was also bruised after being accidentally kicked by a horse on his farm, but his office said the lawmaker's injury has not disrupted his schedule. The Tennessee Republican hasn't missed a beat since being kicked, and his press secretary, Will Garrett, told The Hill there have been no changes to his schedule. He spoke in Maury County last night and has a full slate of district events throughout the week. The horse probably meant it. Here's a clip of Burchett if you're not familiar with his antics.
Hey, Mozambique, we sent them $10 million for circumcisions. Okay. I mean, goodness gracious, ma'am. Americans are paying
we've been covering at length
salaries.
Where the money is going to.
No, you haven't. You all y'all do is run down Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and you continuously do this, and that's why your ratings are in the tank, ma'am. All
right, Congressman Tim Burchett, we're going to leave it there. I do appreciate your time coming on and having this conversation. Thank you very much.
It is very possible that there is a recession brewing. Now, technically, as I said during the Biden administration, the recession, there's a fucking organization. I'd have to look it up again. They're actually legally the ones that get to declare a recession. So it's not a recession until they say so. But, like, all the indicators are pushing towards we're headed for a recession. It's anecdotal, but there was a woman talking about she went into a nail salon eyebrow place in Chicago, and it's usually packed on a Saturday afternoon, and she was the only customer. And that's a huge recession indicator. There's this thing called recession pop, and people are saying like the rise of like Chapel Roan is a sign of recession pop brewing again. There's also some indication that like shit from 2009, 2010 is in vogue again. Like apparently there's been a surge in like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry and that what they call the first wave of recession pop. Somebody who might be in a recession soon if she loses a defamation lawsuit. Candace Owens suggests the Macrons may fake the French First Lady's death to avoid discovery in the lawsuit. She's being sued. She is being sued for accusing Brigitte Macron of being transsexual. And she's now doubling down on her defamation.
Guys, and we have seen this just definitely an uptick in donations. People that are like, take our money, want to help you fight this case. You know, I always want to be, if I ever come to you and I say I'm putting up a GoFundMe and I need the money, I want to make sure I really need the money, you know. And right now, we're obviously looking and shopping with lawyers. We do not really need the money at this moment. It's very early on, but I know that the process is supposed to be the pain, that they want to drag this out. I can't see them wanting to make it to discovery. I just don't see that happening. I think they'll fake kill Brigitte first. Like they'll be like, oh, Brigitte passed away from stress because of what Candace did. Oh, nobody can talk about her being a man anymore because Brigitte's gone. You know, this is terrible. That's what I'm more likely that would be the conclusion. I feel like that's way more likely than them going through discovery. Right? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's my instinct anyways. Yeah, I mean, obviously supporting us, signing up on the website, all of those things, it's how you can support us. And also I want to feel like I'm giving you something back. So that's why I say go to CandaceOwens.com so you can join the book club. If you want to join the book club.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's probably made so much money off of this.
Those of you guys that give, I'm just incredibly blessed and grateful to all of you guys for recognizing the fight. Tim Morgan writes, to help with legal fees, love you, Candace, $20. Thank you, Tim. Supreme Steve writes, I hope you legally kick Brigitte right in his phantom balls. I actually don't, in my honest opinion, I don't know that he's...
Are they suing in EU?
Notorious bathing suit picture.
Candace Owens suggested on her show on Monday that French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte Macron may fake the latter's death in order to avoid discovery after boasting that she's seen an uptick in donations. The initial filing in the lawsuit charged Owens with propagating a number of outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions, including that Mrs. Macron was born a man, stole another person's identity, and transitioned to become Brigitte. Mrs. Macron and President Macron are blood relatives committing incest. President Macron was chosen to be the president of France as part of the CIA-operated MK Ultra program or similar mind control program, and Mrs. Macron and President Macron are committing forgery, fraud, and abuses of power to conceal these secrets. It continued. This is nothing new for Owens. She has built a brand on provocation, not truth. Owens labels herself as an independent investigative journalist while routinely peddling misinformation under the guise of legitimate reporting. She has promoted a range of conspiracy theories, including anti-vaccine falsehoods, long-debunked anti-Semitic tropes such as blood libel and Holocaust distortion, going so far as to dismiss the atrocities of Joseph Mengele's medical experiments as mere propaganda. Her content is not intended to inform, but to inflame and attract attention through sensationalism and conspiracy theories. Owens responded to the filing last week by arguing it is beyond obvious Brigitte Macron has a penis, as well as calling her a very goofy man. What if is it defamation? Because first of all, is it in EU court? Because then the law is different. I don't know what I'm talking about. But in the U.S., which is where Candace is, so I would assume that's where they're suing. In the U.S., you have to prove actual malice, and if she legitimately believes that Macron has a penis, is it actual malice? It's filed in Delaware. We're in the United States. So if she legitimately believes it, she could argue in court there was no actual malice. If she gets off on this, that would be hilarious. But also very sad. It'd be a very sad state of affairs. I'm going to hit the content warning. The next few stories going to be very infuriating. Gets off.
You live in sexual anarchy?
There is some good news. There is some good news amongst it. But once again, incredibly infuriating. Avalon, welcome in. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced that they will recognize Gaza, or recognize Palestine as a state, but with a caveat.
On the 7th of October 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history. Every day since then, the horror has continued. The hostages are still being held today. The Palestinian people have endured terrible suffering. Now, in Gaza, because of a catastrophic failure of aid, we see starving babies, children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. The suffering must end. Yesterday I discussed this with President Trump, and we're mounting a major effort to get humanitarian supplies back in by air. And UK aid has been...
I think Hamas by a long shot there, Flash. And I may be wrong.
By land. We need to see at least 500 trucks entering Gaza every day. But ultimately, the only way to bring this humanitarian crisis to an end is through a long-term settlement. So we are supporting the US, Egyptian and Qatari efforts to secure a vital ceasefire. That ceasefire must be sustainable, and it must lead to a wider peace plan, which we're developing with our international partners. This plan will deliver security and proper governance in Gaza and pave the way for negotiations on a two-state solution. Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel.
You admit about a two-state solution.
A viable and sovereign Palestinian state.
That just doesn't seem right.
Now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognize a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank.
I mean, the good news about all this is it does feel like the tide is turning. Like, public opinion, public sentiment has definitely turned against Israel. Because they keep doing just horrific shit, like the story I'm getting ready to tell you. I've not watched any video about this, so I'm probably going to butcher his name, and I'm so sorry about it. Ada Hathaleen, Palestinian activist killed by an Israeli settler, the family man activist and football fiend. Also helped make an Oscar-winning documentary, killed by the IDF. Ada Hathaleen was standing by a fence in the al-Kir Community Center when he was shot in the chest by an Israeli settler on Monday. The beloved 31-year-old activist and father of three fell to the ground as people rushed over to try to help him. Then an ambulance came out of the nearby illegal settlement of Carmel and took him away. Israeli authorities have refused to release his body for burial, simply telling his family on Monday night that he had died, depriving them of the closure, laying him to rest immediately as Islam dictates. And on top of that, not only did they not turn over the body, at a mourning tent, Israeli soldiers descended on mourners. They were having, I guess, what would be the equivalent of a wake, a celebration of life or something like that. Under the scorching sun of South Hebron Hills, the people of al-Khair were joined by anti-occupation activists from all over the world, gathered in silence to mourn Adwa, who was a key figure in nonviolent resistance against settler violence.
In my village now, soldiers are everywhere.
He helped with the Oscar-winning documentary film No Other Land. The gunman Yinman Levi was sanctioned by the EU. In 2024, Israeli police say he was arrested for questioning. Soldiers and settlers have killed over 1,000 Palestinians. This is just in the occupied West Bank. Adwa had 3 children, 5-year-old Watan. God, I'm fucking it up. 4-year-old Muhammad and 7-year-old Kenan. And he loved them above anything else in the world, according to several friends. Ada had been, I'm really fucking his name up. I'm fucking everything up over here. Had been an activist since he was 17 years old, working to stop the Israeli attempts to expel the villagers of Masafir Yatta from their homes and lands. He hosted countless visiting activists who came to the occupied West Bank to support Palestinian activists and villagers. This is him documenting this. I think we might have watched this video before.
احنا بدنا ننقله في سيارة المساجين. سيارة المساجين يعني صغيرة هيك في يعني زي قفص.
Had to leave in a prisoner van.
فالحين
his recently amputated leg.
رجلي ايدي مكلبشات بهذا الشكل وربطت ايديها زي وقعدت اصرخ عليهم. زي شي تحكي لي. زي شي تحكي لي. زي شي تحكي لي.
The settlers are becoming more brazen. U.S. activist Christian Smalls was on a flotilla taking aid to Gaza, apparently assaulted by the IDF.
My name is Chris Smalls from the United States. If you are seeing this video, we have been intercepted at sea and have been kidnapped by the Israeli occupation forces or forces of the country complicit in Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. I appeal to my comrades, friends, family, to everyone to put pressure on the U.S. government to demand my release and the release of my comrades as soon as possible. Thank you. My name is Chris Smalls from the United States. If you are seeing this video, we have been intercepted at sea and have been kidnapped by the Israeli occupation forces or forces of
Assaulted by the IDF, choked and kicked after aid ship trying to reach Gaza was intercepted. On Saturday night, the Israeli Defense Forces intercepted and boarded the Handala, an aid ship that attempted to reach Gaza as part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, a grassroots international collective that has worked to end Israel's blockade of Gaza since 2010. IDF soldiers beat and choked the American labor activist Chris Smalls, who was on board the ship. Smalls is most well known for co-founding the Amazon Labor Union. The Handala, which carried food, baby formula, diapers, and medicine, was attempting to breach Israel's blockade of Gaza as Palestinians continue to starve in what UN-backed hunger experts have called a worst-case scenario of famine. When his lawyer met with him, Chris was surrounded by 6 members of Israel's special police unit. This level of force was not used against other abducted activists. We condemn this violence against Chris and demand accountability for the assault and the discriminatory treatment he faced. Smalls was the only black person on board the boat. Was one of 21 members of the group who were detained. Others included 19 civilians, including parliamentarians, medics, and engineers, and 2 journalists. Representative Rashida Tlaib given an impassioned speech earlier today.
War is a war crime. There is no denying it. The Israeli government is deliberately blocking food, medicine, fuel, and tents from entering Gaza. The entire population of Gaza, over 2.1 million people, is experiencing famine and disease. 500,000 Palestinians are facing catastrophic levels of starvation. We are watching it right now live.
Media Winch. Since you're here, we got to light one up, tip one back. Whose show did I miss this morning? I have not seen. I've been going to bed at like 6 o'clock. I've been sleeping till like 2 in the p.m. I need to quit that.
Children, where you can see their bones, their ribs, you can see their bodies shutting down.
Oh.
Thousands of them are children who are already again experiencing this. At least 113 Palestinians, I know it's more, and including 80 children, have already starved to death. Palestinians have been forced to eat grass, animal feed. I even saw an image of children licking just a little bit amount of flour in the back of a truck. Palestinians, again, have been sitting here waiting for food that is right over the border. Trucks carrying food and medicine supplies sitting there blocked again by the Israeli government from entering. Let me remind all of you the words of the Israeli finance minister, because it needs to be said. This is an Israeli minister who said, nobody will let us cause 2 million civilians to die of hunger, even though it might be justified and moral. Now, Israeli forces are deliberately shooting and starving Palestinians lining up for food. Over 1,000 murdered in the past 2 months alone, according to the UN. The so-called Gaza, quote, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a joke, inhumane, immoral. It's a deadly sham, a trap backed by the Israeli government and the Trump administration. The United Nations even calls it a death trap. The Israeli soldiers themselves have admitted themselves that they were
hurting people like animals and then just shooting them.
Ordered to deliberately shoot unarmed Palestinians that were just coming there, creating a killing field. This is illegitimate organization that Trump administration with the Israeli government, again, giving millions of dollars to them. And we say enough is enough. You know, this institution's not moving with the majority of their constituency. And it's shameful, because if they poll their constituents, if you ask them, do they want another dime? They want us to continue to support the war crimes being committed in Gaza? They would tell you hell no. Because they've seen the images we all have seen of babies being starved to bone. Every day that our government continues to withhold funding from UNRWA, they are actively participating in these crimes against humanity. Every day that our government continues to again fund this genocide, they're enabling more death and destruction. We must continue to push for a complete arms embargo of all weapons to the Israeli government. 7 out of 10 Democrats support an arms embargo. So again, no matter what weapons is, I don't care if it's offensive or defensive, whatever you call it, let's stop enabling, again, the genocide. The excuses I've heard will never justify these war crimes. It's past time that my colleagues stop making excuses and listen to the majority of Americans.
Well, let's hear what the State Department has to say. This is State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce. Being asked about the declaration of famine.
What's going on in Gaza is famine. And the reason they didn't classify it as such is because they need the actual data, and they have to be in Gaza to collect that data, which Israel prevent them. So my two questions.
Well, let me just say, as you know I might, is that there is someone preventing people from getting into Gaza, and that's Hamas. Okay. Hamas is preventing everyone from being able to get in there, whether it is reporters, whether it's food deliveries, or those who might need to assess the nature of what's happening on the ground. People are afraid of a terrorist group, the masterminds of October 7th, which slaughtered babies up to the elderly, when they're living, dismembering them, putting a baby into a microwave, murdering women as they're...
Wow.
That set of people are running the Gaza Strip. So it's understandable why people are concerned and can't get in. It is not the Israelis who have been defending themselves in this framework and who are ready to sign a ceasefire deal and have been ready for weeks to do so.
Well, in fact, the Israelis are preventing everybody. They control the area, but that's another issue. My question to you: does this add?
Oh, this is earlier today.
IPC said today, what's going on?
July 29th, 2025.
Such as because
3:55 p.m. by Dropsite News.
To collect that data, which
long disproven. That's why I figured Dropsite News would have a citation on that. Senator CIA went on with my good friend Sauger and his sidekick Crystal Ball. It apparently got interesting. Anonymously. Lenny. Who else did I miss in here? I stopped everything for Media Winch. I didn't say hey to everybody else. My apologies. I'm a horrible person. Avalon, did I tell you good evening? Welcome in, friends. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. Senator CIA Alyssa Slotkin went on with Sauger and Crystal Ball earlier today, and it apparently got spicy.
Calling them balls and strikes, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, do you accept that Israel has a policy of enforced famine and starvation in the Gaza Strip?
I think I literally put my name on a letter yesterday or last night that says, a policy of starvation.
I'm sorry, everybody's going to hate me for this, but Alyssa can be my GOP mommy. But Justin, she's a Democrat. She can be my GOP mommy.
People are starting to starve. And in general, I served in places like Ramadi and Fallujah. I watched in 2004 and 2005 Al-Qaeda terrorists drag American citizens behind a vehicle until they died, right? Horrible, and then string them up like a lynching.
Okay.
And what does that have to do with anything?
To get aid into Fallujah, despite the fact that we were fighting Al-Qaeda cells in Fallujah, and I have been clear about that.
So this is a crime against humanity. Forced starvation is a crime against humanity.
The occupying power has a responsibility to get aid into the war zone. Period.
So
by the law of war.
So in addition, do you accept that the Israeli plan, as reported by Haaretz, as discussed openly by ministers like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, as backed by the President of the United States, is forced ethnic cleansing?
I think we have, as recently as yesterday, the Prime Minister of Israel talking about forced migration into certain areas and then potentially out of the country. That is not legal. That is not on any international standard since World War II. And I've been clear about that. So I would ask for a little bit of an open mind.
Well, what I would ask is, listen, I'm a YouTuber. I have my words, that's all I have. Yeah. But you're a United States Senator. You have...
You got a nice jacket.
But you have power. So what are you going to do? Because so far what we've seen, you voted for some of the aid that's been used to massacre children and innocents. You know, you have backed Israel, as far as I can tell, you know, from your voting record at almost every turn. You voted for a definition of anti-Semitism that would, you know, codify anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism. You voted as a member of the House to sanction.
Was she in the picture with Netanyahu?
For indicting Benjamin Netanyahu, who you just admitted is a war criminal,
Klobuchar and
you know, by your
Booger?
own words. So are you going to join Senator Angus King, Senator Bernie Sanders in saying no more aid to this country that is committing war crimes against innocent civilians?
I think the first thing, if you're asking about what to do with power, and I would offer that right now Democrats own nothing in Washington. So
don't play powerless with me. You're a United States senator. There are things you can do.
In terms of who runs our foreign policy, I just think it's interesting, right, that there was a ton of protests when Democrats were in charge.
There was a protest in Manhattan yesterday.
Okay. I think it's fair to say, just to be honest, that back and forth, like the number of protests that go on now versus before.
I give her props for going on, though, and getting tough questions.
That's fair. That's fair.
Obviously, I'm here.
Yeah.
I was very upset over the Biden administration policy. And as you can tell, I'm very upset over the Trump administration policy. Yeah. So let's deal not in strawman, but me and
but
here
in
and now.
terms of the tools that I have, the tools that we have in general, to me, the most important thing is a pressurized campaign to get aid into people who are starving. That to me is the number one, because that's the one is urgent and today. And that.
But will you cut off aid to Israel so long as they're committing crimes against humanity?
There is a difference between a weapon to protect a country from incoming missiles versus other type, offensive and defensive.
Boo.
Would you support offensive weapons ban? Like, would you stop any offensive aid to Israel?
That certainly, to me, would be a place to look, but I'm not going to cut off a blanket next sale on a defensive weapon that comes through. No.
I also reject that because, for example, if, Senator Slotkin, if you were asked to support defensive weapons for Iran, defensive weapons for Russia, you wouldn't back that.
No, but Iran, I mean,
they're defensive. They're just protecting civilians, right? So how is it different?
But because Israel's being shot at. I mean,
well, so is Russia.
So is Iran. So is Russia.
Ukraine's shooting at Russia right now.
I'm sorry. This is the difference between allies, partners, and adversaries.
Why is it an ally then? What are they doing right now that which makes it an ally?
I think allied relationships, just like Lithuania right now, like an allied relationship or a partner relationship is a long-standing relationship of information sharing and diplomacy. And that is, to me, it's not a like every day we decide Lithuania is our ally.
Explain her maracas.
We're allied or not. And sometimes we have big breaks with allies, right? Sometimes we have difficult moments with allies. Sometimes it goes the wrong way with allies. But an allied relationship is a long-term relationship.
It's hard for me to understand why we should ally. Like, I'm sure you believe in, like, or claim to believe in liberal human rights. Why would we ally with a nation that is committing a genocide and live streaming it?
Can I ask, literally, like this, I think about this from the mirror image way, because I do not.
Oh, no, Solid. They think she is the winning formula.
But I'm an American. So do I want other countries to look at America and be like, we can't stand Donald Trump, so we're going to end any longstanding relationship we have with the American people. We're going to cut off any support we give them on information sharing or intelligence sharing. Like, we are not just our elected leaders. And I think that's the thing that's been lost in the conversation.
So B'Tselem and another Israeli human rights organization joined the Global Consensus, Amnesty International, some 800 scholars. There was a piece from an Israeli scholar in the New York Times in saying this is a genocide. Do you accept, even Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday came out and said it's a genocide.
We're up to 10 lawmakers.
And
genocide.
I mean, what responsibility does a United States senator have for, this is a nation that, you know, we send every year billions of dollars to aid that you have, you know, voted for and supported. Like, what responsibility does a United States senator have to prevent genocide and to stop genocide that we see ongoing?
We have a responsibility up till today.
Yes.
To ensure that food is getting in.
Is it
so
a
that
genocide?
People don't starve. I don't know that I'd use that term.
Why?
But it is violating the law of war.
Why don't you use the term though?
Because I think, you know, it's, to me, do I think it's ethnic cleansing? which is what I think of in genocide.
That's genocide.
I don't know if it meets that definition.
It does.
Didn't you say it earlier that it was ethnic cleansing? You said that they wanted to force it. I mean, this is open from the Israeli government. Like, they're saying it. Their
And from
Minister
Trump,
of National
too.
Security, they come out and they're like, we don't need shells. We need shells, not food. And we need to encourage migration. They're saying
you're not going to get me to
Yeah.
support what the Israeli government is saying right now. I think the point I was trying to make is it's not just about, like, we have relationships with nations over time, regardless of who their leaders are. We have really tough moments. We have easier moments. But that doesn't, so I'm not willing to say that, like, I hate everything ever.
Sure,
into
but
the,
so
the future.
even if you accept that they're committing a genocide, you still wouldn't cut off their aid?
I think that defensive aid and offensive aid are different things, and I think at this point,
So
what
if
they're
Nazi
doing
Germany,
every single day
if
is
Nazi
doing,
Germany said we want defensive aid, I mean, it's
Come on.
just you have to see where they're all weapons that are being shipped. You know, in
they're
another
not using
context,
the weapons that they're using right now. I mean, to be honest, if you look at what's happening on the ground, the military part of this conflict is, for the most part, over. What they are doing, what they are doing
Senator,
every single day is
Senator,
around aid, and they are hurting people
they have
around the
slaughtered over
delivery of
1,000
aid.
people who were starving people just
But
trying to get aid.
That is
I
not
know you
high,
know this.
That's not high intensity bombs. That's not the weapons that that we were talking about 2 years ago. It's just not. I'm sorry. Every single day, the military reports that I read, they are traditional. Like, this is a military that has a bad strategy. It is not the bombs that we were seeing 2 years ago.
It's not a military that has a bad strategy. The strategy is forced starvation and ethnic
that is
cleansing.
not a.
That's
that is,
their strategy, and they're accomplishing it very effectively with the full backing of the United States government, including, sadly, Democrats.
Well,
and so a couple more questions that I know you have to run. You know, I'm curious why you condemned Rashida Tlaib for using the rally chant, you know, from the river to the sea, something she said for her evokes equal rights. And you have not condemned Randy Fine, who said that Gazans should, quote, starve away, who floated.
Oh, that guy is disgusting with his thump bill.
On Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Soran.
Says he wants to run over protesters, BLM, Antifa, thump.
As well, called them Muslim terrorists. Where is the concern over him?
I have no problem condemning Randy Fine, who I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know who that person is. I have no problem condemning someone who talks like that.
Senator, we have to ask your last question because your staff is telling us. Do you think AIPAC should register as a foreign lobby?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that
yes is the answer to that.
Who think they should. You know, I don't.
It's kind of a cop-out answer, don't you think?
I mean,
Yeah.
I literally, I just guess I'd have to look at the definition. I certainly have had my tough moments with that organization. And
so you stop accepting their funding?
You gotta get your facts straight. I have not been endorsed by AIPAC. I'm sorry. I was the first Jew elected to the Senate that was not endorsed by any Jewish group. AIPAC, J Street.
You've been the recipient of their funds.
In 2018, when I first...
Oh, I didn't know she was Jewish.
Members, yes, but I've not been endorsed since then. And I just got to be honest, like, I think that this is where facts really matter. I've had very, very difficult conversations with my colleagues in that organization and made a choice back in 2021. So that was the first time I was up for re-election. So I understand that there's a sort of, like, again, cornered position, but to me, like, I call balls and strikes as someone who served in the Middle East.
I have one more question I have to ask you. You know, we do the show. I really do my best to try to uphold, like, you know, basic human rights, Palestinian humanity, oppose the killing of innocent civilians wherever that happens. And I have to tell you, like, I feel really guilty that I'm not doing enough. I think all the time about, I'm a mom, I think all the time about those moms who can't feed their babies. Those babies are starving to death. And I just want to know, like, you're a United States Senator, you did vote for some of the bombs that were dropped on refugee camps. When kids have been sniped in the head, tents firebombed, people set on fire. The entire Gaza Strip turned into rubble. And now we're seeing these emaciated bodies of babies starving to death every day. And Like,
I know what you can do.
Does it eat you up? Does it eat you up? Do you think, like, what more?
Yeah, you.
Do you regret any of your votes? Do you regret
let me tell
any
you what
sort
I
of
was working on this
complicity?
morning. A group of Jewish rabbis and Muslim community leaders came together with a proposal that we are working on just getting, like, if we can't get other aid in, at least get baby formula and nutritional supplements for children in. Let that be kind of a green light, never has a problem. No one's trying to eat baby formula other than a baby, right? That is the proposal that I've been working on all night and this morning. So in terms of what we're trying to do, there's not a moment that goes by that this isn't something that I'm working on and something that my own community, not online, but my own community has practical things that they want to do. They're willing to raise the money. They're willing to buy the formula. They're willing to do whatever we need to do to get it shipped in. That's how
I feel like that's also a very cop-out answer. Like, oh, me and my community center down here, we're doing this. You're a U.S. senator. You voted for the bombs that are dropping on these children.
I spend my time.
But
That
you're
is
not
how
willing
my
to cut off aid to Israel.
That to me is the most effective thing that I can do today.
This is a settled question. Your staff is telling us you absolutely have to go. So we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming.
Senator.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay? I will see you guys.
Disgusting. We're going to do a police chase after. We're going to do crime, and then I got police chase, which I guess is the same thing. So you got a palate cleanser here in a little bit. We're going to go to the crime section of the show now. I don't know if it's been a mass shooting, but it's just another day. And I'm reporting on a shooting in USA. They only know of two people, two women shot at a Southern California daycare center. Apparently a shotgun was
Witness
used
News with live
at a daycare center.
Breaking news as we come on the air here at 3. 2 people taken to the hospital after a shooting at a daycare center in Granada Hills. One person now in custody as parents scramble to reunite with their children. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Cutter-Robles.
I'm Giovanna Lotta in for Colleen Sullivan. Let's get right to Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stallworth, who's been at the scene gathering information. He's live in Granada Hills. Leo, what can you tell us?
No, my friend, we just drove up about 5-10 minutes ago, and obviously a very frightening ordeal for parents who have kids at the daycare center just around the corner here. You can't see it, but just up the street around the corner here, that's where the private residence is, authorities tell us, which is also a daycare. We're at Bradford Place and Firma Court here in Granada Hills, and this all unfolded around the noon hour. We talked to a police captain who filled us in on actually what went down here.
So today, officers responded to a radio call of a shooting in progress at the location here on Firma Court. Officers discovered 2 victims, 2 female adult victims, approximately in their 50s, that had received gunshot wounds. Their wounds at this time appear to be stable. They do not appear to be life-threatening. The location they responded to is also it's not only a residence, but it appears to be that they have a daycare center at the location. There were children on site during this incident. Fortunately, there's been no children hurt or injured during this incident that we are aware of at this time.
Happened initially? Did he just walk up on this and just started shooting, or what unfolded?
From what I understand, he arrived at the location, acquired a weapon, the shotgun.
Didn't we just see her giving a statement the other day?
Again, it's still under investigation where exactly the shooting happened in the house. The children were in the daycare center, which is actually off to it's a separate entity of the residence. Basically, it's next to the residence.
Did he shoot inside of the house, or was he outside of the house shooting at the house?
Initially, I believe he's inside, but again, that's under investigation. Trying to actually wrap up their reunification process between the kids and the parents. Shortly after this incident, the suspect, we had information on the suspect's vehicle. The suspect was located. The suspect was taken into custody. I do not know the exact location. and so he is taken into custody this time. The weapon we believe involved in this incident, which is a shotgun, has been recovered. So that has been recovered. And we don't believe that there's a general threat to the public. We believe this is relationship-based, whether it's domestic violence or family violence, where we're not clear at this time. It's under investigation.
And again, 2 adults wounded, according to authorities. Not one of the kids inside of that facility harmed. The suspect in custody at this hour. And again, authorities making it clear this does not appear to be a random act of violence. This was some sort of targeted shooting.
War Machine not impressed. Ready for the next story. We've got new details. Apparently, dude took out a Blackstone executive, but that wasn't who he was there for. He was apparently there for the NFL. He was pissed at the NFL. Wanted his brain examined because he says he's got CTE.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Moore.
And I'm Christine Johnson. It has been less than 24 hours since a gunman armed with an assault rifle.
5 people dead now.
In a Midtown office.
I think that includes the shooter.
Today, authorities revealed new details about this deadly shooting.
Investigators say Shane Tamura left his home outside Las Vegas and drove more than 2,500 miles, crossing state after state on a mission that ended in New York City. By early Monday evening, he was parked near 345 Park Avenue, the high-rise home to major firms and the NFL's headquarters, where he stepped out of his black BMW and walked inside with his weapon in hand. 5 innocent people were caught in the crossfire, including an off-duty NYPD officer working private security and a senior managing director at Blackstone. Rudin employee Julia Hyman, an NFL employee, and another man working.
Props on both of those.
Also shot.
And just moments ago, the body of Officer Islam was transferred from the medical examiner's office to a mosque in Parkchester for his funeral. Police cars were also seen around Midtown and Grand Central as the NYPD has stepped up security around the area. We have team coverage here for you tonight. Jason Allen is tracking the shooter's movements and motive in Las Vegas. Jennifer Bisram live in front of the mosque where the officer's body is being transferred. Alan Devlin has more on the other victims. Let's begin our coverage now with Alice Gaynor on how this deadly rampage unfolded. Alice.
The building is closed to employees today as the investigation continues. Behind me, you could see workers making repairs to windows
Midtown Manhattan.
During yesterday's mass shooting. You can actually still see what appears to be bullet holes in 2 of the windows. It has been nearly 24 hours since this happened, and as the hours go by, we're learning more and more about the man identified as the shooter. The mayor says he was not on the NYPD's radar at all.
Am I wrong on this? But that's a bullet hole going in, isn't it? Because the glass is concaved. Who shot from the outside?
A makeshift memorial outside of 345 Park Avenue and East 51st Street, where Monday at about 6:28 p.m., emergency calls started coming in about an active shooter.
You are responding to an active shooter incident. No unit shall enter any building without force protection.
Law enforcement officials say 27-year-old Shane Tamura double parked his car and carried an AR-15 style assault rifle into the lobby of the building where the NFL, Blackstone, and Rudin Management have offices. Once inside, they say, he shot an off-duty NYPD officer in uniform working building security. They say Tamura then shot a female in the lobby who was behind a pillar. From there, he walked to the elevators and shot a security guard who was taking cover behind a desk. Another person was also shot. When the elevator opened, though, the mayor says video shows Tamura spared the person who walked out.
After the suspect shot several individuals, he came in contact with a woman who was leaving the elevator, and he allowed her to walk past him without any action at all. And he just shot one of the security guards who was behind the desk. And so that is going to be part of the investigation and the interviews that will follow.
From there, police say Tamura then went to the 33rd floor, Rudin Management, and fired off shots as he walked in. A person was shot on that floor. He then walked into the hallway and killed himself. Investigators say they found a 3-page note in Tamora's wallet. They say it may explain why he appeared to be targeting NFL headquarters.
In that note, Mr. Tamora claimed to be suffering from CTE, possibly from playing high school football, and he blamed the NFL. Mr. Tamora mentions a Frontline documentary from 2013 on the topic and former NFL players who suffered from the disease.
The NYPD commissioner says Tamora, who shot himself in the chest, also requested his brain be studied.
He, from our preliminary investigation, he took the wrong elevator bank up to the NFL headquarters. Instead, it took him to Rudin Management, and that is where he carried out additional shootings.
Law enforcement in Nevada say he's had mental health incidents.
I mean, honestly, better. I've got no real beef with the NFL. I mean, there's beef. There's plenty of things to criticize the NFL for. But overall, like, people working for the NFL, they aren't actively killing people, kicking them out of their homes, going to the asset management firm. Better.
There. Among the items found inside his vehicle, they say, a loaded revolver, ammunition, 2 cell phones, and prescription medication. As for the gun used in the shooting,
was assembled by Mr. Tamora using a lower receiver purchased by an associate. We have located that associate and others.
The investigation continues not only here in New York City, but also in Las Vegas. The NYPD says it has sent 2 teams there to execute search warrants and interview people. Live in Midtown, Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
Thank you, Alice.
So that's the latest out of the Manhattan shooting. We're going to go down to Arkansas. A place called Devil's Den.
A good Tuesday evening to you. We're going to begin tonight with significant developments in the search for the Devil's Den State Park killer. Earlier today, Arkansas State Police released this photo. It captures the person that they're looking to question.
I feel like I know
Saturday's deadly attack.
20 people look like that.
Prairie Grove. Clinton and Kristen Brink were killed as they hiked the park with their 2 young daughters. The children survived. That new image is the latest clue on the killer's identity. It complements this composite sketch of that man that Arkansas State Police released late last night. Channel 7's Daniela DeHogany traveled to Northwest Arkansas today. She reports tonight from Devil's Den State Park. Daniela.
What should have been a peaceful Saturday evening outdoors ended in tragedy. Behind me on a popular trail, Clinton and Kristen Brink were murdered, their daughters witnessing the horror. Tonight, in the stillness of Devil's Den, heartbreak echoes through the trees.
Hear yells calling for help. We're hiking down. I think they're...
10-4, we're hearing them too towards the end of the lower part of the Devil's Den Trail.
Those cries came after 43-year-old Clinton David Brink and 41-year-old Kristen Amanda Brink were found dead.
We found the victims down here. They're on the lower Devil's Den Trail. Just a couple minutes. I think I see you right there. I've got two bodies down here.
State police calling it a double homicide. The suspect, a white man, medium build, in dark clothing and fingerless gloves, fled in a black 4-door Mazda with the plate covered in tape. He was last seen near highways 170 and 220. Police releasing a sketch of the suspect late Monday night, and today a major development, a photo of the man they believe is responsible, urging the public to come forward with any information. Just down that trail, investigators spent hours combing the area. The children not injured in the attack and are safe with relatives. The Brink and Osgood families releasing a statement asking for privacy as they grieve and learn how to navigate this new reality, according to a statement released by state police, adding, Clinton and Kristen died heroes, protecting their little girls, and they deserve justice. They will forever live on in all of our hearts. Two little girls are left without their parents as the search intensifies for the man who took everything from them. On your side at Devil's Den State Park, I'm Daniela DeHogany.
Hey, Daniela, thank you.
Daniela DeHogany?
That search. Meantime, if you recognize the man in the sketch or that photo, or if you know anything at all about the murders of the Brinks, call Arkansas State Police at 479-751-6663.
We don't like no narcs, but active killer situations like that's a little different. Apparently there was this TikTok cult in LA that got raided. It was featured on a Netflix documentary. I think TikTok in and of itself is a cult, so you know the idea of a TikTok cult not that outlandish.
Now to this, a quiet Tahunga neighborhood rocked by flashbangs. Federal agents storm a property tied to the shocking allegations of sex trafficking. That dramatic raid today tied to an alleged TikTok cult.
Fox 11's Gina Silva. She joins us now live in Tahunga with more there. Gina?
Well, it may have started as a Netflix documentary, but now it is a full-blown federal investigation. Now, right behind me, this property is usually closed up tight every single day, but today, federal agents ran through that gate.
Attention, anyone inside? Come to the front door with your hands up. We have a search warrant.
It sounded like gunshots to me.
In the early morning hours, local and federal law enforcement arrived in this quiet Tahunga neighborhood to serve a search warrant.
It was a few days ago.
Sex trafficking, money laundering, tax evasion, mail fraud, and COVID-19 pandemic-related fraud.
It's really, really creepy, and this is a really great, quiet little community, and a lot of families.
They must have rammed the gate to get in there. Look at that.
The front gate of the property lies mangled and twisted, clear evidence of a forced entry. Sky Fox captured video of 5 people in handcuffs. This is the same location tied to Shekinah Church and 7M Films, both at the center of serious allegations in a Netflix documentary released in May 2024.
7M, an entertainment company founded by Robert Shin, who's also the pastor of LA-based Shekinah Church.
The documentary, titled Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult, alleges emotional and psychological manipulation.
It started out fairly innocuous, but the control slowly grew.
We feel liberated. We feel that finally maybe there's a chance for justice to be served.
Melanie Lee joined Shekinah Church at 15 and left in her 20s. She accuses Pastor Shin of abuse and running the group as a cult. After years of urging law enforcement to investigate, she now says she feels vindicated.
I know for a fact that they will find things that he's done that are, evil, and he's a criminal. I can definitely say that, whatever's coming for him, he deserves it.
Right now, the search warrant is sealed, so we don't have an idea as to what the agents were looking for at this specific property. But former members say whatever it is, they're confident the agents will find it. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
How long, Gina, have federal investigators been working this case?
The documentary came out in May of 2024. We don't know how long ago this investigation started, and like I said, the search warrant is still sealed, so we don't know the details. But the former member we spoke with has been part of the investigation, and she says that they've been working very hard on this for quite some time. She didn't give me a timeline.
Gina Silva, thank you for your reporting.
Well, let's go from sex cults to sex shops. A Phoenix father has been arrested after leaving 4 kids in a 125-degree car for an hour in order to visit a sex shop. Because who hasn't done that? 4 young children were left inside a car that reached a sweltering 125 degrees while their father spent nearly an hour inside a Phoenix sex shop. Asensio Largo, 38, was booked on child abuse charges on Thursday after cops responded to multiple calls of kids left unattended inside of a vehicle which was off with the windows rolled up. On a 104-degree July afternoon, officers responded to a parking lot of a business near 24th Street and Madison Street regarding multiple children inside of a vehicle that was not running. We have a picture of them with their feet up in what do you call those? High chairs? Car seats. The kids were ages 2, 3, 4, and 7, rescued and put in an air-conditioned police SUV. Now, being in a police SUV, not necessarily a rescue. Who knows what the cops did to them?
New details tonight on those 4 kids rescued from a hot car in Phoenix. We first told you about this last night. Police say the child's father left them inside the car so he could go into an adult shop.
And according to police, he was in that store for nearly an hour before his children were found. Fox 10's Lindsay Regis is live now with the disturbing details.
You live in sexual anarchy.
John and Ellen, there is a lot to unpack here, but I first want to say that the 4 kids, all under the age of 8, are going to be okay. However, they were left in a very hot car when it was over 100 degrees outside.
Hi, buddy. How are you?
Hi.
Where's mom or dad?
Call that all officers hate to get multiple children left in a car unattended, cars not on, doors locked.
38-year-old Asensio Largo, a father of 4, appeared before a judge Friday, less than 1 day after he was arrested outside an adult shop near 24th and Madison Streets.
Interlock your fingers. You're under arrest.
Largo is accused of leaving his children, ages 7, 4, 3, and 2, inside his car around 3:40 p.m. when he went into the store. A Good Samaritan spotted the kids and called 911 nearly an hour later.
Do you want some water?
They got all the kids out, immediately gave them water. There was signs of distress, color discoloration, skin, bright red, sweating. Clearly, the heat was affecting the children.
Phoenix police say all 4 children had their temperatures taken at the hospital. Temperatures range from 99.7 to 100.4. The temperature taken inside the hot car once the doors were open read 125 degrees.
The fact scenario as alleged by the police is rather shocking. The police allege that they went into the store, called out many times, nobody came out, and they allege that when you came out, you attempted to pretend like it wasn't your car. It indicates a strong level of reckless culpability, of knowing. It's difficult to say that anybody who grew up in Arizona doesn't know that children and dogs die in closed cars.
According to court documents, police could smell alcohol on him, and on his license, Largo has an ignition interlock restriction on it, but his car did not have an ignition interlock device. Largo,
I was about to say, did he use the kids to breathe for him or something?
Faces 4 counts of child abuse and 4 counts of endangerment.
You are presumed.
Here, kid, blow for me.
Police are alleging could have resulted in the kind of story that gets picked up on international news wires. Man goes.
It got picked up on the Troll Patrol.
Into porno store, leaving his 4 children to die in their car.
The judge set bail at $5,000. Now, if he were to bond out, he would have to wear an ankle monitor, and he would not be allowed to see his 4 kids. Reporting live, Lindsay Regis, Fox 10 News.
I hope you all, if you ever commit a crime, you try to go big enough to where you make it on the Troll Patrol. That's horrible of me. If you're ever in a police chase, please call in 917-830-4359 or get it in the Discord. Last week we had the death of Mr. Hulk Hogan. Nah, parking ticket's a civil infraction. Need something criminal, Lenny. Vince McMahon was in a car accident the same day that Hulk Hogan died. Completely fucked up his Bentley. Tones, welcome in. Anonymously, I don't think I told you good evening. Somebody else I think I missed. My apologies. Silent, I don't think I gave you a proper good evening. Former WWE honcho Vince McMahon was involved in a bad car accident, but apparently no one was injured. The incident happened at 9 a.m. in Connecticut on Thursday, just hours before the TMZ broke the news that Hulk Hogan had passed. According to a crash report, McMahon's 2024 Bentley was traveling northbound on Route 15 in Westport, where it rammed into the back of a 2023 BMW and collided with a median wooden beam guardrail. Debris from the collision flew into the left side of the two-lane highway, and a third vehicle, a Ford Fusion, ran into it. No, nobody was hurt, unfortunately. All three cars needed to be towed from the scene. McMahon was issued a misdemeanor summons for reckless driving and following too closely, resulting in an accident. He will have to appear in court late next month. Now, stories from Jim Cornette and Bruce Pritchard would indicate that is absolutely true. Vince McMahon speeds and will ride your ass. McMahon went on to mourn Hulk Hogan's death later in the day, as he was instrumental in the Hall of Famer's career. A doctor, went on Bubba the Love Sponge to talk about the death of Hulk Hogan. Do they have a conspiracy theory for us?
How do you think it went down?
In my opinion, I think he had a failure of the internal fixation, which is the repair of the spine fusion.
The actual repair job.
I think something failed. He had a mechanical failure.
I think he died of a broken heart. I think he got booed on his last appearance in WWE, and he knew there was no coming back from it, that he was going to be hated by the wrestling community, and that's what killed him.
Of the hardware, and because he had been doing too much, that probably contributed to the hardware failing, because it was asked to do more than it should have been doing. And so without taking it easy in the mobilization, all the stress was on those little titanium or stainless steel or cobalt screws, and they broke. Once that happened, he now required urgent revision surgery, and revision surgery never goes as smoothly as the first operation, especially 3 or 4 weeks later, because things are still pissed off inside. So now you're fixing a house instead of building a house. And it's always different. And everything goes a little bit more slowly. Everything bleeds a little bit more. Everything's stuck more together. Everything's a little more swollen. Everything's a little harder. And somehow during that procedure, he had a complication, whether it be traction on the vagus nerve, whether it be a nicked esophagus, or more likely a nicked artery that caused excessive bleeding. And then also during the collapse or the failure of the hardware, he could have had a nerve injury to, like I said, his diaphragm, C345, keep you alive, which could have hurt his ability to move air and breathe. And the vagus nerve runs down that area too, and the vagus nerve does help control heart rate.
The vagus nerve?
Pressure and digestion and all those things. So going back in after a month sucks.
That's kind of the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end, yeah.
How do you think it went down?
The man on top is Bubba the Love Sponge. Hulk Hogan was fucking Bubba the Love Sponge's wife when he said the racist epithets that got him canceled. Just like to throw that out there. The California coast is under a tsunami watch. We've apparently had an earthquake in Russia. Japanese coast under a tsunami watch.
The U.S. West Coast, including our local counties, is under an unusual tsunami watch following a massive earthquake in Russia.
Again, this is a tsunami watch, not a warning, but it has people taking notice at this hour. The quake struck in the waters off the Kamchatka Peninsula in eastern Russia, measured at a massive 8.7 magnitude. For Hawaii and the U.S. West Coast, we are again under a tsunami watch, which means there is a potential tsunami threat. It's an alert to be prepared just in case.
And here to break this all down is Dr. Lucy Jones, our earthquake expert. Dr. Lucy, break down the quake and the watch and what this all means. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Sure. All right. Magnitude 8.7 only occurs on the really big faults that are called subduction zones. So this is on a subduction zone off the east coast of Russia. To be that large means a very large quantity of water has been displaced, and this is the type of event that does create tsunamis to be, received on the other side of the ocean. The warnings that have been issued by the National Tsunami Warning Program, which is part of NOAA, includes a warning of greater than 3 meters, so 10 feet potentially for Russia, and 1 to 3 meters, which is 3 to 10 feet, for Hawaii. Hawaii actually has a warning at this point, as does the westernmost of the Aleutian Islands. The Aleutian Peninsula is what's called an advisory. So let's watch and see how big this tsunami really gets. And the rest of us are at a watch, which is, let's see what happens. We may or may not get here. Tsunamis travel at something like 500 to 600 miles an hour. So about the same speed as an airplane crossing the ocean. So to get from Kamchatka to California is going to be 10 hours, maybe more. And that'll be part of the advisory as it's going through. I have seen that the Hawaii warning suggests that it'll reach.
So it probably hasn't even crossed the ocean yet.
About 7:15 Hawaiian time, which is 10:15 p.m. here. Mm-hmm. And of course, then it would have to keep on coming out to us.
Dr. Jones, the quake was centered sub 160 miles from Hokkaido, which would be the northernmost big island of Japan. And according to local news reports there in Japan, it was felt in Hokkaido only slightly. What does that tell you, if anything?
Well, it does suggest, right, so earthquake has an epicenter, which is where it begins, but it happens over a fault surface that might be, in the case of an 8.7, I would think is probably at least 300 miles long. Right? And so did it rupture from the epicenter south towards Japan? If it was only felt slightly in Hokkaido, it couldn't have gotten very far down the rupture zone, and maybe it ruptured more to the north. It's really too early. We don't have enough data to say what was the pattern of rupture.
Because this just happened within like the last hour or two.
The USGS also creates something called PAGER, which is a rapid assessment of the potential losses in an earthquake based on these things I was just saying to you. If it's an 8.7, it's at least 300 miles long. Well, those are standard relationships that we know are true for the different types of earthquakes, and therefore we can estimate what the shaking level would be at different locations and compare that to population. And that's what PAGER has done. And the PAGER assessment right now, of course, data can change, but right now they're saying probably at least $10 billion in losses, economic losses from this, with likely fatalities between 10 and 100 people.
Wow.
And that's not based on any information from the site itself. It's solely on what we know about the characteristics of earthquakes.
I think we do have some video here out of Russia.
All right, so this is some new video just into our newsroom. This is from an area in Russia, and this is our first look at this tsunami wave, where we can see, this is called I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, the Severokursk area, and this is in Russia's Kuril Islands, and you can see the tsunami wave coming, and you can see it doing damage. And that's our first look at that as this repeats, Marla.
Yeah, and on a closer look, you'll see the buildings being swept away. So these images are out there. There's a watch for the entire West Coast coastline. Here's what I'm talking about here when you're seeing the buildings being swept away. This is one of the largest top 10 earthquakes to strike.
Since 1990, since 1900. One of the top 10 earthquakes in the world since 1900, 8.7 magnitude quake. And you think about, earthquakes as you get up in magnitude, they're not all the same. I mean, that is a enormous earthquake, which we think happened out in the middle of the ocean. Because if something like that would have happened right under land, the devastation would be, unbelievable. But as we saw with Japan, when we had that big quake there in Fukushima, the tsunami was more deadly than the quake itself. And we know the power of water in terms of a tsunami wave is about as powerful a force as there is on Earth. And it can move buildings, it can move cars, and it can kill a lot of people quickly. Hopefully we don't have that situation here, but it is concerning when we start hearing about these warnings and watches.
This is a live look at a location in Japan. So you're seeing the activity in the ocean, of course. As it relates to the concern here, Hawaii has just been upgraded from a tsunami warning to a tsunami watch. If it strikes there, it will be
I thought watch was less. I thought warning was
their
more.
time, local time, Hawaii time, which is not until the 10 o'clock hour.
She said upgraded.
We're hearing that would translate. Here's a live look at Hawaii and Waikiki Beach. We're hearing that the worst of it, if it were to happen along the West Coast, would happen in the 1 a.m. hour Wednesday.
Right. So again, Hawaii now a warning up from a watch. Which means that they're more concerned about it and that they are going to.
But they're 3 hours behind us. I was going to say,
which they have set up.
She said about 10 hours.
Tsunamis that will
probably happened 2 or 3 hours ago.
Over the next few hours.
They're 3 hours behind us.
For this,
it's a lot of math.
A minor incident, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like as we continue to follow this breaking news.
2/3%. I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
Some of you could use a bath. Cool you down. You're probably under severe heat warnings. Tornadoes all over the country. Because we just got wild fucking weather happening. It is the end of time.
This life-threatening heat. 170 million Americans on alert. Tomorrow, it'll feel like 104 degrees.
Not tomorrow morning, this morning. Well, I mean, tomorrow morning, technically. But, like, to me, it's not tomorrow until I go to bed. So 1 a.m. to me is still Tuesday, but that's technically Wednesday. So it's going to hit in like five and a half hours.
In Philadelphia, 103 in New York City. And tonight, some of New York City's subways overcome by the 100-degree heat index, a power outage shutting down multiple lines. Meteorologist Lee Goldberg with the forecast and ABC's Mola Lenghi right here in New York.
Tonight, unrelenting heat straining the power grid, taking a toll on the nation's largest transit system.
We are talking about trouble across nearly the entire alphabet of subway lines.
The New York City subway hit with massive delays from a power outage during the morning commute. Passengers sweltering on platforms.
At this point, it would appear that the heat stressed the system a bit.
The dome of extreme heat spreading south and east. Savannah felt like 113 degrees, even hotter than yesterday. Our Victor Oquendo is there.
They have seen it all here in Savannah over the last 24 hours. Emergency crews responding to calls of people fainting, cramping up, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke.
In Orlando, volunteers for Meals on Wheels delivering food to the elderly while keeping a watchful eye.
We'll look for disorientation, just the inability to carry on conversation.
Heat fueling storms again overnight, spawning this massive tornado near Dixon, South Dakota.
Well, God damn!
100 degrees here in New York City. Heat alerts are in effect for Philly, New York, and Boston again tomorrow, and heat index values
could hit.
Alaska is under a heat advisory.
Thank you. Another rough day ahead tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our New York station, WABC, back with us tonight. Haley.
Hey, David, hit 101 in nearby Newark, breaking a record today. Suffocating heat here in the Northeast and really across the eastern 2/3 of the country. The heat warnings and advisory go into tomorrow. But when you look at the feels like readings tomorrow, notice that the heat don't.
Look at that, Lenny. Look at that. You're just barely still in the heat advisory zone. Been a couple 100 miles over, you'd be out of it.
The heat dome is eroding in the upper Midwest. So focus on St. Louis and New York City, 109 and 103 respectively. And then watch what happens as we go through Thursday and Friday. It'll feel like 70s in St. Louis and it'll feel like 70 in New York. Now, the extreme heat will continue into the south late week, but there will be some relief in the weekend and into next week. Now, that relief will come via storms, maybe drenching downpours across the Northeast and a flood threat. Speaking of storms, Montana to Nebraska tonight, a flood threat from Iowa to New Mexico. Again, those storms are coming eastward as we go after the heat tomorrow. David?
We can't get to those 70s soon enough. Lee Goldberg with us tonight. Lee, thank you.
Oh, shut up, David Muir. I don't know if I can show this. Perhaps this will get you guys all hot and bothered. This was at a Jennifer Lopez concert. She was apparently celebrating her birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Warsaw. I'm out here in my underwear. Hey, to ya. Happy birthday. I'm glad that they reinforced that costume. I'm glad I had underwear on. I'm glad too. I don't usually wear underwear. Okay.
Thought you might enjoy a little ass. Kind of let down by it though. Feel like that was totally planned. Why'd the chicken cross the road? Because it was in the alligator's mouth. Wait a minute, that's a fish? I thought it was a chicken. Oh, it just said dinner. I was wrong. It wasn't a chicken. It was a fish. The gator had its catch. It was a giant carp. Do you have a preference in cat? Maynard's right here. Let's get some Maynard. He's such a chonk. You have no clue. He's so chonky. Yeah, he has a little mustache. I had a girl come over one time. And she's like, oh no, he's got a mustache. I don't like it. And I'm like, what? It's cute. He's got his mustache. You know what else is cute? The chonkiest goddamn fox you've ever seen. A well-nourished cat. This is a well-nourished fox. They were pissed that Curious or Not, I came back from the weed store, and apparently I hadn't fed them in a little bit. They were very pissed. But they so chunky. Look at that baby. If this is some kind of wildlife tour and he's in like a refuge or something, they're like feeding him. That's why he's that fat. It seems friendly, so that would be what I would guess. Some kind of driving tour deal at a refuge. Look how big he is. That one doesn't seem skittish. Seems almost domesticated. Comes over to them. I would love to have a fox. They're so pretty. I would love to domesticate them. Twitch people, stick around. We're going to watch a police chase and listen to music. Police chase from earlier today in LA, because of course it is. Podcast people, Rumble, Kick, yada, 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 YouTube. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freak. I fucked up my own outro. That's how off my game I am tonight.